Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back to LRC for the 11th round of this 14 race season here in Tier 1, and we are at none other than the Circuit of the Americas. My name is Coolest, and welcome to this race. Unfortunately, I will be your sole commentator for today. Spinato could not make it. He is a bit busy once again. He's actually up in Lithuania at the moment celebrating his dad's birthday, so we wish Spinato Senior a happy birthday. And unfortunately the show must go on without him. So we are here at what you will have, I'm sure, already noticed, is a very, very wet Circuit of the Americas for this race, and this rainy weather will be continuing on into the start of the Grand Prix today. So we have quite an interesting session up ahead. I'm imagining, as the first of our drivers are already making their way out onto the track. It is a slightly diminished grid order today, with a few new drivers as well. Quite a lot of reserves in today, and unfortunately a lot of our drivers weren't able to make it, but we do have still 14 of us here today, and hopefully, even with less than usual, we will be able to put on a good race. And if previous events in Tier 1 are anything to go by, I'm sure the drivers will have absolutely no trouble with that. If I can just turn up the game time a little bit here. There we go, that's good. Alright. So, riding on board with one of the Ferraris here. I believe this is... actually not sure which one of the Ferraris this is. Is this Cooper? I think it is Cooper. As he exits what is turn 9 though, which is a very tricky corner on track limits, of course, only on the outlap at the moment. I'm not sure which of our drivers is going to be first to start a flying lap. We do have one of the Haas drivers, this is Maxcon here, who is, interestingly enough, after some big news, which I'll get onto it in a second, still in the title fight. We're contrary to what we believed at the end of last race, if you were there after Monza, and you will know that we actually prematurely declared Lamano as the drivers' champion. So yeah, we'll get into that in a second. But first of all, we have Loris slipping and sliding his way out of the final corner and getting his first lap underway. Unfortunately, Loris, though mathematically he is still in the drivers' championship, he will not be able to attend the final race of the season, and so therefore he does drop just out of the fight as he makes his way out of turn 1 there. It's going to be very tricky, this qualifying session, with these intermediate conditions. It will only be inters, no sign of heavy rain, at least from what the forecast indicated, so shouldn't be too difficult, but I'll say that very hesitantly. Of course, I'm not the one out there, so I'm sure the drivers would like to disagree with me on that one. As Loris gets a big slide on there, and an even bigger slide there, as he goes through the exit of turn 8 and into turn 9. It's such a tricky few corners, that one, especially in these damp conditions. Turn 7, 8 and 9, even in dry conditions, can be very tricky to get right, and of course very tricky to stay in the track limits, as the real life drivers have found over the years. But Loris, well, it wasn't really track limits that was the issue for him though, it was getting the traction down, which he was not able to do, and is now going to have to hope that the rest of his lap is able to make up for it. I would imagine this will only be a banker for the Dutch driver, as he gets another big snap of oversteer there. I don't think his setup will be fully suited to it, because of course we are still expecting dry conditions towards the end of the race, so going to have to be a bit of a compromise for the drivers here, and it's going to be very interesting to see which way they go, as Loris is just, he's just trying to go in a straight line at the moment, and even he's struggling with that because there is no grip on those inters for him in the Haas, as Phil has just gone quickest. That is German beat. You will know him as previously, and Shadow now beats his time, but only by a tenth of a second. But yeah, German beat just gone through a bit of a name change, as Loris gets one final slide and then still goes quickest. So I take it back, that was a great lap from Loris apparently. Either that or everyone else's was terrible. Meanwhile, AJ by 24 goes quickest now by 5/10 of a second, so that is a bit more like it from the Red Bull reserve driver for today, who is back again, and we are pleased to have him back. AJ always keeps things interesting. His pace is always very good and definitely one to watch. As Shadow as well in third place. He actually won the Tier 2 race here just last weekend, at which I was had the pleasure of commentating alongside Phil. And Shadow, he didn't just win it, he absolutely dominated that race, and I'm sure that will have been quite the confidence boost for him heading into this race, and he is currently running, I believe, 7th in the driver's standings on 57 points. Of course, he had a very slow start to the season after terrible luck in basically every single race, and still hasn't been perfectly clean since then, but he's been on a strong run of point scoring since, and is, I'm sure, looking to continue that today, and looking very good if last week's form from Tier 2 is anything to go by, although that was in the dry. So we'll see how things change for these wet conditions for him today, as German beaten out. Oh, Phil, sorry. Gonna have to get used to that one, so apologies if I get it wrong a few times. Phil jumps up into third place now, overtakes Shadow's time, and yeah, I would imagine quite a few drivers will have probably just fueled up for quite a few laps here and just be, yeah, sort of going for multiple attempts in a row. Bablo now jumps up into 5th place, and Julian, there he is. I was wondering if he'd actually left the pits yet. He definitely has, but now Shadow tops it. So we were just saying, Shadow has looked good round here, and he's looking good so far in this qualifying session as he takes the top spot away from Julian, but Julian, that was only his first lap, so very nice banker in from him. Of course, he's been basically the star driver of the past few races, and I can confirm he did indeed get rewarded with the win last week in Monza after the penalty kerfuffle, shall we say. But yeah, the stewards were able to put that right after the race. And yeah, so Julian, a 2-time race winner in LRC in only 3 races. This is his 4th appearance now, and he's already 8th in the standings. Oh, that's a huge slide there. Good save. Wow, that was getting dangerously close to the inside barrier there, and well, our unformed driver is able to just about keep it out of the barriers, so well done to him on that. It was probably quite the scare, and you can see really all the drivers struggling a bit in these treacherous conditions at the start of the session. So we have one of the Alpines here. This Kuman or Sippet? I think this is Darth Sippet here, making his way out of the final corner. Well, we're going to find out in a second. He goes across the line. No, it was Kuman, so my apologies. We've got 2 reserves in Alpine today, and that is the first of them, Kuman. You will know if you've been watching the Tier 2 action. He finished 2nd in the Tier 2 race. If I'm not mistaken, he was, well, I can't actually remember, to be honest. He was having a great fight with Cota, but I believe he did indeed come out on top to take P2 in that race and just about keep the championship alive. So, yeah, you'll have to keep your eyes on that one on Sunday, with Aero having his chance to take the driver's title. And I tell you what, how about we use this as the opportunity to now talk about the Tier 1 driver's title, because Lamauno, we incorrectly after the race declared him as the Drivers' World Champion. However, a huge development in the form of Akram, who had already retired from the season midway through, has now been disqualified and banned from all future LRC competitions, as big slide on again from the Haas driver of Loris there. And Akram has been banned from all future LRC competitions for, well, basically undeniable evidence of cheating, which he actually admitted to. So all of his points that he had accrued have been disregarded, put to one side, and all of the results from previous races which he contested in have been, well, changed as, oh, huge slide for Kuman there in the Alpine, just really losing the back end through this traction zone heavy Sector 3, and does a good job to save it again. All the drivers putting on some great shows of Tokyo drifting here. It's not the Japanese Grand Prix yet, that's next week as well. Round he goes, and well, I was surprised he didn't do that sooner, but now round does go. The Alpine of Kuman, still P5 in the session though, so I don't think he'll be too displeased with that one. But yeah, Akram has been disqualified, and Paul Aron as well, who only made his debut last time out, did finish 3rd place, 2nd on the road, has also been disqualified again for cheating. So that has made for some big shake-ups in the point standings, and with that we now have Maxcon back into the constructors fight by only 3 points. So yeah, he's just about hanging in there, and he will need to win the race today if he wants to keep the driver's title alive. This is his teammate that we're looking at now, Maxcon, currently down in P10, but he is on a lap, I think. He makes his way through this incredibly slow and twisty section that's so much slower in the wet. There's another big slide there. Basically all the drivers are doing it. And yeah, Maxcon is going to need to improve on that P10 position, I'd imagine, if he wants to keep his well, I'll call them title hopes alive. It is a mathematical chance, albeit one that is very unlikely, but Lamauno still will not be here until Mexico, I believe, which is the race after Japan. So yeah, we'll have to see what he can do when he makes his return. As locking up there on the pit entry. I was wondering if anyone was going to do that in these wet conditions. It's so easy to get caught out there. It's a bit uphill and off camber. It's a very tricky braking zone, that one, and just about keeping it out the barriers is Maxcon there, but that is not the start to the session that he would have needed. Meanwhile, we're already down to 7 minutes to go. So we have the Red Bull here of Jarmin, heading into turn 1, currently 5th place in the standings, only 1 point ahead of Phil, who is 6th place, and then Shadow 7th, as I mentioned earlier. So we'll see what the Red Bull driver can do. Consistency has been a strong point of Jarman's this season, I would say, and he'll be looking to continue more of that, although at the moment he is quite a way off the pace, so I'm sure he will be looking to get a clean lap in now, and it has been a pretty tidy first sector, although it is often quite hard to tell whether tidy does mean quick. Meanwhile, his teammate goes quickest of the session and sets a 1:44.5. AJ looking very quick in that Red Bull at the moment on the intermediate tyres, seems to be suiting him quite well these conditions, and he is flying high, be it only as a reserve. He's still on the pace, as we have so often seen with him. Meanwhile, Shadow takes an interesting line there, shall we say, through the S's, and I'm not sure why he'd do that. Maybe he just can't be bothered risking crashing the car, and would rather just do this instead. So, well, interesting stuff from from him. I suppose that works, and well, he might have saved himself a little bit of fuel there as well. So maybe maybe a bit cheeky from the Mercedes driver, but yeah, I don't think the stewards will have too many complaints with that one. But then again, I am not a steward, so I don't know. Meanwhile, we have Julian, I believe, on a lap now. Certainly looks like it, the way he's attacking this S section and looking very nice and tidy through that start of the start of the S's through turns 3, 4 and 5, and ooh, a little bit of a twitch on the exit of 6, but nothing too big or unmanageable. He makes his way through turn 8, now so close to track limits on the inside there, trying to get the power down as early as possible, and is he going to go round? No! Just about saves it. Brilliant stuff from Julian there to entertain us, but terrible stuff for his lap time. He was, just could not keep the rear end in check over the paint, which is so hard to do on the outside, and through the curbs as well. He did a very good job not to end up binning the car in the wall, but I think that was that might be a bit disappointing for him, because it looked like a very good first sector as he goes into turn 12 now, taking that very, very wide line on entry, which you can get away with, and into the hairpin section now. What is his traction going to be like? You can hear just how quiet he is on the throttle there, feathering it as lightly as is physically possible, just trying to get the smoothest exit. He's in 4th gear as he exits the corners here, so the engine won't be enjoying this lap, but if it's quick, then I don't think Julian's going to care. He's obviously still going to have to make up for the lost time through turn 9 and 10, but it looks like he might be doing that. No, he's going back into the pits, so clearly did cost him too much, and I'm not surprised. It looked like he had to get onto the brakes a bit from that mistake, and he's going to make his way back into the garage with only 4 minutes left in the session. As all of the drivers are getting themselves prepared to go for one last dash to the finish, if you will. I think Shadow is... no, Shadow's not on a lap, by the looks of things. Phil is about to start a lap, I would guess, by the way he's taking these corners. So, yeah, got a lot of drivers to keep an eye on, and I think Phil might be one of the first ones. See your Cota on an out lap as well. Is Human on a lap? I'm not sure if Human's on a lap. We'll follow him round just in case he is, but I can't tell actually. He might just be on a lap, you know. So through turn 19 comes the Alpine driver, currently 7th place at the moment, running it right up to the track limits. He's either just about to start a lap or just about to improve. So let's see, across the line, is he going to improve? Yes, he is. So up to P5 goes Q-Man, showing some solid pace again at his home race here. And yeah, he's going to have to probably, though, I'd imagine, look to try and improve that more, because the times will undoubtedly start to tumble now as the track does clear itself a little bit of the standing water. Meanwhile, through the S's goes Phil here, looking looking a bit lucky there. It's quite hard to tell how he's actually doing in terms of traction, but his lines seem fairly good, not taking anywhere near as much curb as we saw Julian do, but still losing the back end a little bit on the exit, but again, not nearly as much, so should be a clean lap. He is going to encounter quite a bit of traffic here though, is Phil. He will get the tow from that actually though, down the back street, so I'll tell you what, it could actually work out quite nicely for the Aston Martin driver, as he's going to get a not the best tow, but still a little bit of a long tow from, I believe that's one of the Haas cars up ahead. I think that might be Loris, as into turn 12, and actually the Haas car is not going to get out of the way before the corner, so Joan Beat is going to have to stay behind in the dirty air, and a little bit cheeky from the Haas there, just trying to scrub off as, you know, just a few tenths here and there from Phil's lap time. He makes his way through the switchback of sequence of hairpins, and is going to look to try and get the best exit possible now out of turn 15 and in towards the triple right-hander. Looked steady and stable through there, so no major snaps of oversteer on this lap for Phil. Is he going to be able to improve on what is a very solid P4 position already? He goes a bit wide of the apex at turn 19. That won't help his case here as he heads now through the final corner. Just needs to get the power down smoothly here and across the line. Does he improve? No, he does not. So no improvement for Phil. He will have to go again then, with only a minute and 40 left in the session. And now we're going to see a lot of drivers start to set their laps. Q-Man back into the pits. He will be starting 5th place at best in the Alpine at his home race here in Cota, as we have, I think Julian is starting a lap now. Shadow, I believe, is on a lap as well, and AJ is also on one as well. So yeah, everyone on their final laps of the session now, and it will be Shadow first across the line, I do believe, as he makes his way through this triple right-hander now in that Mercedes car. He's looked very quick in qualifying this season, taken 2 poles already. Can he make it a third one here? Through turn 19 he goes, looking nice and tidy through there. Just one more braking zone to go as Cota jumps up to 5th in the Alfa Romeo. But what can Shadow do as he crosses the line in the Mercedes? Cannot improve. So no improvement for Shadow, and he's a little bit low on battery. Oh no, he does improve. It just took a while to come in, so he has improved up to 2nd place. So nice lag from Codemasters there, and Shadow gets himself provisionally onto the front row of the grid, but still 8/10 off of AJ's. He gets a big twitch there through turn 2. Now, can Julian do anything? He's going to be the next one up here to try and, well, conquer AJ's time. There's no into the hairpin of turn 12. He cuts across the corner, so he's trying to race it back to the line here, but I don't think Julian's going to have time. He's only got 20 seconds and he's got a whole sector to get through, and there's no grip in that Williams car, so I don't think he's going to be able to start another lap. Meanwhile, AJ, that was AJ there, just stopped on the inside, so he's not going to improve either. And Julian, yeah, 10 seconds to go. He is not going to make it to the line, so Julian will be starting 3rd place at best. No more front row starts for him as he spins it now on the exit of turn 18. Won't make any difference to him as Loris jumps up into 5th place now in the Haas as well. So nice improvement by him. Was down the order a little bit, and same goes for his teammate, who was actually, I think, just managed, yes, he has just managed to start a lap. So Maxcon, final chance here to try and improve. He's 11th place at the moment, and the only driver who can actually contest Lamono in this driver's title is struggling at the moment in this qualifying session, but he has got one final chance to try and improve on his time. He's 11th place, so this needs to be a clean lap as he heads towards turn 11 now. What is his braking like? Can he hit the apex? Yes, he can. It's looked like a pretty clean first sector, all things considered, for the German driver, and he gets the power down now on the back straight. We'll have to, well, we won't even be able to tell what his straight line speed's like, really, compared to anybody else, so we'll just have to hope for his sake that it's good enough to improve as he heads in towards turn 12 now. He will be the last driver to cross the line here. Just needs to get some good traction, or as good as he possibly can through this section. Oh, gets a bit of a lock-up on the curb there. That is not going to help his time here. So Max gone through the final few turns now. He's got about 5 corners left. Can he get good traction down here on the exit of turn 15? Yes, he can. So it's looking like he should be on course to improve the Haas driver here, but it is the question of by how much he runs wide through the triple apex corner now of 16, 17 and 18, and wide again at turn 19. It might be all unravelling here at the end of the lap for Maxcon. He's got 1 corner to go, and he needs it to be as good as possible here, because across the line I don't know how much he's going to be able to improve. Where can he go? Stays 11th. Does not improve, and Maxcon, the only driver keeping the championship hopes alive, will be starting from the 6th row of the grid. Meanwhile, his teammate Loris actually snuck in a final lap and jumps up to 4th place ahead of Julian, as Phil actually got into 3rd ahead of Julian as well, and is now back into the pits with his best qualifying result of the season. Look at Phil's gap to Shadow for between P1 and 2 there. That is ridiculous. It was 1,000th of a second separates Phil from his first front row start. Shadow just about clings on, so he can count his lucky stars there. That's very fortunate for him, but that is going to be the end to a very interesting qualifying session. So, yeah, it is AJ on pole from Shadow 2nd. Phil just about has to settle for 3rd. Loris in 4th, Julian down in 5th place. It's his worst start in LRC so far. Cota 6th place, in the Alfa Romeo, Q-Man 7th, Cooper 8th in the Ferrari, Wisered returns in the AlphaTauri but can only start 9th place, Flevo 10th, Maxcon 11th place, down the order for our title contender, Bablo 12th, Jarmin 13th, and Darth Sipit will round off the grid in P14. So here we go then, for the start of the race. Here come the lights. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we are go for the American Grand Prix here in LRC. Who's going to get a good start? It looks like a good one for a pole sitter and a great one for Loris alongside him as they head towards turn one. Loris is going to dive it up the inside and take the lead of the race. But here comes a switchback from the Red Bull behind as everyone changes places already. In the background, looks like everyone's managed to make it through cleanly. But Loris holds the lead from AJ, who is going to drop down to second. Meanwhile, I saw Phil getting a big snap of oversteer on the exit of turn 2, and he drops down to 5th place already, so not a great start for him, as Shadow up into P4 as well, sorry, down to P4 as well. So both of our front row sitters had pretty poor starts, and Shadow again losing more places. But Loris, what a start that was by him, and he is already into the lead of the race come the end of the first sector. But he's immediately going to be under pressure from AJ in the Red Bull, who we know is rapid in these conditions and will, I'm sure, be looking to dispatch of the Haas ahead of him as soon as possible. Meanwhile, there was a move going on down the order for between the other Haas driver Maxcon and Darth Sipit. Maxcon stays ahead, but here comes the fight for the lead into turn 12. Round the outside is going to go the Red Bull of AJ, and he's going to get squeezed out, and he hits Loris. Loris tries to close the door, and it results in contact between the two of them. Loris resets the track, and AJ is left stranded in the barrier, which leaves Julian to take the lead of the race now. He was up to 3rd place, and now he's just been gifted P1. As now Shadow up into 2nd, Phil into 3rd, and Loris drops down to P11 after resetting to the track there. And that is chaos at the start of the race. He's got damage as well, and I think AJ might have damage too in the Red Bull. No damage for AJ, so he looks to have just about escaped it. Meanwhile, you can see his teammate there going side by side, Cota making the pass, a nice move around the outside, but Loris with damage is going to pull into the pits at the end of the first lap. It has all gone wrong for him. It was such a great start for the race, and now he is going to be back into the pits, visiting his pit crew for a very, very premature pit stop. And a wing change as well. Meanwhile, Julian leads the way then. He's been really gifted this one here, as what was looking like his main rival in terms of if he was planning to fight for the win. AJ has just been completely cleaned out of the order between an accident, or by an accident, between Loris and AJ on the first lap. So, that was complete chaos ensuing there at the start of the race. And now we have a very different picture at the front of the field. Meanwhile, the AlphaTauri is I still don't know who that is, up into P4 and right behind Phil. So a great start for whoever that is. I apologise for completely forgetting the name, but started 9th and already up to 4th place. Meanwhile, Bablo, great start for him as well, up to P5 already. So brilliant stuff by him in the Alfa Romeo to get ahead of Q-Man, who's only just been able to hold position. And he has gained 1 place. He's up to P6, but still, as a very wide mix of different starts there. So we can now take a look at the gaps between all of our drivers here. And you can see it is still very close at the front of the field. Shadow is not going to let Julian get away with this one easily by any means. So far from over yet this fight. And like we mentioned earlier, Shadow did of course take the win by some margin in the Tier 2 race here just a few days ago. And he will be, I'm sure, very much eager to repeat the feat here, where he is a full-time driver with Mercedes and fighting for every position in the title fight, which is, well, he's not in the title fight, but he is in the fight for P2, which is extremely close between, pretty much all of the drivers and the constructors as well. Thought I'd just drop it a mention. Every single team, bar Ferrari, is mathematically still in the fight here, with only 3 races to go in the season, so nice to see that, but we'll of course have to try and keep track of that one as the races do progress. Meanwhile, it is still, still as you were, no moves since we last checked in, and all of the drivers seem to be behaving as, oh, somebody went off the road there, was that? I think that might have been Julian running wide. We saw him having plenty of oversteer in qualifying, and I think it might have just caught him out again through the exit of turn 6, and now through turn 9, gets another snap of oversteer, and this is all looking very, very appetising to Shadow in the Mercedes here, who is right up behind the Williams, almost pushing him through turn 11, and is going to be, I'm sure, very eager to make the move on the back straight now. as here he is in the slipstream, but he doesn't have the straight line speed, so it's exactly what I suspected. The Williams of Julian is running lower wings, and you can see him, even with the slipstream, pulling away from Shadow behind him, so it might be quite a very difficult order for, or a very tall order for Shadow to try and get past here and get into the lead. But of course, with the wet conditions, it will be, in theory at least, slightly easier for him to make a move somewhere in the corners. Meanwhile, AJ making moves of his own, trying to recover in his race. He has just picked up a 3-second time penalty though, so that will not help his case. And yeah, he's managed to get up into P10 as all. Looked like there might have been some contact between him and the Ferrari of Cooper there, going through turn 15 on the exit as AJ got a big slide on. And yeah, he's still looking to slide through the orders. Oh, up ahead, MaxCon, who is up into 8th place in the race, still trying to make some progress forwards onto the back of Flevo now, and almost looked for a second like he was going to try and move around the outside of turn 19 as, oh, big slide for Flevo, and into the wall he goes. I think he did clip the barrier, and he retires from the session in front of everyone. I have no idea what he just did there, and he's just taken away the front wing of Darth Zippet. A completely innocent bystander there has just been, well, blindsided effectively, runs into the back of the retiring Flevo, who's left the session in rage. The stewards will not be pleased with that one, I'm sure. And, well, a very bizarre incident as Loris sets the fastest lap of the race, and meanwhile Q-Man all over the back of the Alfa Romeo with Bablo here. Bablo seems to be struggling a little bit now as I think Zippet just made a move, or sorry, just got passed by Jarmin. Of course, without that front wing, that is going to be, well, that's such a shame for him. He did start down in 14th, and unfortunately for him, this race isn't looking like it's going to get any better, because he's now going to limp back to the pits without any front wing through no fault of his own. And is, well, going to be right back where he started once he does exit the pit lane. So, yeah, very unfortunate for him. As meanwhile, side by side now, here comes Bablo trying to, well, he's trying to defend actually from Q-Man, but Q-Man is already through and makes the move stick up into P5. So nice overtake by him there in the Alpine, gets up the inside of turn 12. That is the most common overtake to see around here, and beautifully executed and very cleanly executed, showing Loris and AJ how it's done perhaps by Q-Man there. So up into P5 for him in the Alpine. Meanwhile, back at the front of the field, Julian has extended just a little bit of a gap, still below 1 second though, to Shadow behind, as it's basically a little bit of a game of cat and mouse here, as on the straights the Williams pulls away, as you'll see him do now, but well, both of them just set the fastest lap, and actually Shadow not losing as much time on the straight there, so I wonder if Julian is maybe already running a little bit low on ERS, either that or he's just trying to conserve it. He does seem to have around about half his battery left, so not quite as much as Shadow. So yeah, Shadow has a bit more to play with, and that might just be what he will need to get the pass done. As you can see just how much quicker he is through the S's here at the start of the lap. He gains all the time, even with dirty air, and clearly having much better traction is paying dividends for him, but it just means, unfortunately, that he's compromised on the straights. As, oh, not getting better traction on the exit of turn 9 though, so maybe spoke a bit too soon on that one there, but at least he's able to keep everything pointing in the right direction. That is the main thing, and he will still be able to try and fight against the Williams of Julian here. But out of turn 11 you can see just how much quicker he is. It seems to be the acceleration for Julian, even without having the best traction. When he does get the power down, he's just absolutely romping away from the Mercedes there. And Shadow, well, unfortunately for him, there's not a whole lot that he can do at the moment other than just hope that there is a mistake from the Williams driver, who we've already seen struggling just a little bit in qualifying, and well, he'll be hoping that happens again, as now side by side with a Haas and a Red Bull. Flashbacks anyone into turn 13 now. Here they go, it's MaxCon this time on the outside of AJ, who's trying to get the move done on the Haas driver, but is, well, MaxCon's going to fight it back. AJ trying to look for the switchback. They almost make contact on the exit of turn 15, but MaxCon very nicely defends position as, whoa, that was a massive slide there from AJ going into turn 16. Super easy to do that in these wet conditions, and well, masterfully saved there by the Red Bull driver, I have to say, and is going to keep his hopes of pushing forwards in this race alive there. But that was a little bit too close for his liking, I'm sure, but now he might be a bit too close for MaxCon's liking into the first corner. Is he going to look for a move up the inside? So we ride on board, he's going to send it, a late move, pulls out at the last second, and has he got past? Yes, he has got past, and AJ gets up into P7, so caught Maxcon napping a little bit there. The Haas driver didn't think he would have to defend the inside line, and well, that has left the door wide open for AJ, and he saw the gap, and just like any racing driver, he goes for it, and gets up into P7, although with 6 seconds of time penalties now going to be added onto his race time. So it's, yeah, swings and roundabouts for AJ at the moment, but he is now swinging very close to the Alfa Romeo of Bablo, who's not looking too quick in this race, and AJ is looking to try and get a wide line here through turn 11, try and get the best exit he can, actually bumping Bablo a little bit through the middle of the corner there at turn 11, so I think just showing how eager he is to get past, won't even go to the inside. Bablo makes the defence, but there goes the Red Bull, although Bablo's straight line speed does seem to be pretty good, so are they still going to be side by side, or will Bablo back out? He will, so yeah, decides that one's not really his fight. There's, contact coming in from Maxcon now, so these three getting all very close, and I'm just keeping an eye on as well, Shadow and Julian, gap down to 3/10, up the inside, opportunistic move was attempted by Cooper there, and well, Maxcon I don't think really saw him coming and just closed the door, and yeah, I can't, honestly, I didn't really get to catch that one, so I don't know, I can't point the blame anywhere, but Cooper now has just dropped back by about 4 seconds, I think, from that incident, so not good for him. As meanwhile, Julian responds to the gap by setting the fastest lap of the race on what seems to be a slowly but surely drying track. We're on to lap 7 of the race now, and still Shadow waiting in the wings for any potential mistake from our race leader. Meanwhile, Maxcon is now looking to do exactly what AJ did to him on the previous lap to Bablo, but not close enough into turn 1. So the Alfa Romeo driver runs a little bit wide there. He will get a better exit from it though, and can try and push away as he heads into the first sector, into the S's. But Maxcon, I would imagine, is going to be the quicker driver, and you can see Bablo just not able to nail the apexes the same way Maxcon is, even with the dirty air, and I would imagine once they get onto the back straight, I think it might be a little bit of deja vu for Bablo here, as now the gap is actually up to, no, the time screens have lied, it said it was up to a second, but it is not up to a second, so yeah, these two still playing that same game of cat and mouse, Julian and Shadow, and Julian still leads the way from the Mercedes behind us. Maxcon has actually gone for the move early and got it done into turn 11, but he's now going to not have the slipstream, and Bablo will have the slipstream to try and make the re-overtake. I think Bablo might be a bit more eager to try and fight this one back, as is he going to look to the outside of the Haas driver? No, he's not, so just weighed it up there, and in the end concluded that still wasn't really his battle to pick, and he's going to try and focus on his own race. And Maxcon up into P7 cleanly, and unlike AJ, without any kind of penalties to weigh him down, at least for the time being. Now it's going to be Cota, Bablo's teammate, onto the back of him. Cota, of course, only reserving for Alfa Romeo today, but will still be looking to score as high a position as he can. Meanwhile, the lead two trading fastest laps once again, as they have been for the previous few laps, and yeah, the track drying out all the while, and the fuel load reducing all the while, so I would expect that trend to continue, and we'll have to wait and see if Shadow is actually able to do anything. Let's ride on board through the first sector now. Is he going to be close enough? Cuts the corner though, and picks up a 3-second penalty, so that is not going to help him come the end of this race, and he's now going to have to hope that, well, either he can get past and extend a gap to Julian, or that the Williams driver gets one of his own, but that is, yeah, not good at all for Shadow. And with 3 seconds added to his race time, that might just be quite difficult to recover, especially if we do have one of those late safety cars that I was mentioning earlier and that we have so often seen in LRC this season. As, yeah, none so far in this race though. Flevo, the only driver to retire so far, so looks like the order of, well, unfortunately, like I mentioned, it is a reduced grid. They are standing strong at the moment and faring pretty well, all things considered, with these wet conditions, at least to keep things out of the barriers. As now Shadow, look how close he is through this final sector, but just can't really get the traction, and both of them struggling a little bit. He's trying to take the different lines, and it's almost like a bit of mental warfare between these two. Shadow just trying to do anything he can to throw Julian off his game and see if he can force the error from the Williams ahead of him. And so far, Julian, I have to say, has done a brilliant job on what we see is looks to be an inferior setup to hold strong and hold the lead of the race, as meanwhile Bablo has been passed not only by his teammate but by Cooper as well, so missed that one, apologies for that, and Bablo drops down to P10 at the moment, so I wonder if it might have been a case of a bit of a double overtake, as meanwhile the 4th place AlphaTauri is into the pits now for an early change of tyres then. So that is Wiserad, I believe, actually. I've just been reminded by my notes. So yeah, Wiserad will exit the pits now and rejoin the racetrack down in P10 as getting a big slide, crossing the white line there. The game will not be pleased with him for that one, but I think it will only be a warning on cold, hard tyres. That is very, very interesting. I thought he was going to be on Inters and might have been pitting for damage or something, but no. The AlphaTauri from 4th place has pit onto a set of hards. That is a very, very strange decision. I mean, you can see how wet the track is. He's losing so much time here. There's no grip on those dry compounds. The slick tyres offering absolutely nothing for him, and he's skating away and skating towards, well, the bottom of the order as his P4 position that seems so secure slips away, and he slips into the barrier now. It was, well, almost inevitable. Resets the track, and I would imagine probably in disgust at his own decision here, either that or at his team, because why on earth is he on dry tyres? I have no idea. Meanwhile, through the final sector now, getting even closer than they have done before, Julian and Shadow, the gap was down to almost below 0.2 of a second for a brief moment there. And as the track dries up, I think the higher downforce setup is proving to be even more beneficial for Shadow than it already was. So if he wants to get the move done, now might be his best chance to do it, as Loris sets the fastest lap of the race down in 11th. I think that was a little bit of an outdated message there, but yeah, still, into turn 1, Shadow looking closer than ever before now, as AJ sets the fastest lap actually, so looking still mighty quick in that Red Bull. As we saw, he is our pole sitter, and he is still trying to storm through the field on a recovery drive, whilst these two effectively just hold each other up. So, yeah, it might not be all over just yet from AJ. It's been a brilliant job by him so far to get back up to P5, but those 6 seconds of penalties will make his life a hell of a lot more difficult come the end of the race. As, Shadow just about keeping his foot flat to the floor, and this might be his chance here into turn 11. Is he going to dive it to the inside? No, thinks better of it, and both of them do still make the apex, as now Loris into the pits, Jarmin and Kvyat Bonner. So I think this is going to be the crossover lap now. So Wiserad, unfortunately for him, he only went about 2 laps too soon, and that has just cost him his whole race now. But out of turn 11, look how much quicker Julian is. He just completely waltzes away down the straight, and, well, Shadow has nothing. He's got no answer into turn 12, and these guys are actually going to lose quite a bit of time, you'd imagine, on the crossover to the guys towards the bottom of the field, but thankfully for them, it is only P11, 12 and 13 who were able to actually get back into the pits at the right time, although that said, P12 was Wiserad, so he's already lost quite a lot of places now. As Twitch there from Julian, and well, Shadow's not going to be close enough now, because both of them are going to be into the pits surely here at the end of this lap, and indeed they are. Would be quite the mistake if either of them were to miss the pit entry there, as into the pits they go. Both of them do not speed, and both of them actually set the fastest lap of the race despite entering the pits, so that's an unusual phenomenon there. But this is now Battle of the Pit Stops. It's quick for Shadow. What is it like for Julian? He's just made it to his pit box, gets out now. Where is Shadow? He is side by side with him actually, but Julian does just stay ahead, so Williams doing enough there and holding the lead. And yeah, Julian just about stay ahead. I was just thrown off by Codemasters there, showing us a very different story for a second, as Cota has stayed out on the Inters. So another very, very bizarre call coming in here, as Cota stays out and is now going to be, well, he's fighting the leaders at the moment, but surely he's got nothing on those intermediates, although to be fair, his pace is actually not that bad through the first sector, and I tell you what, if his pace continues like this, Cota might have just played a blinder here, because he's quicker. He is quicker than Shadow. What is, well, what is going on here? I wonder if it's a case of a bit of the Slintermediates coming back again from Turkey a couple of years ago, and, well, maybe Cota is on a bit of an abstract version of a dry compound tyre at the moment, and he's got the DRS. DRS is now available, so that will massively help Shadow out once he is able to close the gap back up to Julian, but he has lost a bit of time on the outlap there. Those hard tyres not switching on for him, as you can see, a bit wide of the apex there. And Cota, I have to rescind my complaints, or concerns I should say, towards his strategy, because he hasn't actually lost all that much time. I don't think he's gonna gain anything, but he hasn't lost too much either. Meanwhile, side by side, AJ and Q-Man. And Q-Man trying to get the switch back here. AJ just able to put in the defence. Q-Man trying to make the move back up the inside, and he hits in. Whoa! Almost going around again though was AJ, and just about holds onto it. That was a little bit naughty from Q-Man, trying to force his way through on the inside, and will have to settle in behind the Red Bull, who he'd actually, I think he must have been closing up, because I think, yeah, AJ was already ahead of him. He was already in P5, as now Cota does make his way into the pits to stick on a set of dry tyres, and he will have 1 lap fresher tyres come the end of the race. So we'll see if it's able to help him out at all, but I'm not sure he's going to be gaining anything from that, but yeah, only time will tell. I was maybe a little bit mistaken with my first call, so maybe I will be with this one as well. Exits the pit lane now, and he's going to be right alongside MaxCon, who's on much warmer hard tyres, and will breeze right round the outside there. Nothing that Cota can do on those cold hards, and we'll have to settle in behind for P7, but yeah, he hasn't actually lost too many places. As penalty again for AJ. So another one added to his tally. He's looking mighty quick in this race. He's pretty much the fastest car on track, well, roughly the fastest car on track. He's got a bit of contention from Loris, Shadow and Julian, but yeah, AJ up to 9 seconds of penalties now in the Red Bull, and coming under pressure from Q-Man now, who's going to go for the move to the inside and breeze past on the straight there, looking to have much slower wings. Looks up a little bit into turn 12, and that might invite the chance back up the inside for AJ, who dives it in there. That was a bit bold from him. The two make contact. Both of them do thankfully keep it in the right direction, but Q-Man will not be happy with that one. He's just been barged off the road by the Red Bull driver, and AJ showing no sign of giving the position back. So it seems like some of our drivers are losing their tempers a little bit in this race here. It's very tricky conditions, and I think that extra penalty now has just added to the red mist that will have probably descended from the start of lap 1 on AJ there, at least from the collision with Loris, and seems to be driving very much in anger, which is giving him some great pace, but is not helping his case against, well, against the track limits, or I would imagine against the stewards. So we'll, yeah, we'll see how that one plays out. As meanwhile, this is exactly what we said. Julian does seem to be quicker in these dry conditions. He has set up his car much more leaning towards the dry period of this race, and it is working out a treat for him, because Shadow is not able to get within DRS range of his, well, of his rival for the win of this race. I have to take a bit of a break of my own there, as now Wiserette on the medium tyres sets the fastest lap of the race. We actually have Loris, interestingly enough, running a set of softs, so yeah, his race sort of very much unravelled on the first lap, and he's not really been able to recover since, but he is now closing up to the cars ahead of him, and with those soft tyres will be much quicker than everyone else, but he's going to be one of only a handful who will actually have to pit again come the end of the race. So we'll see if he gets lucky with the safety car, then Loris may just end up back in this one, but he also has penalties. As now side by side, here goes Cota and MaxCon with the battle. Cota now got his tyre temperatures up to where they need to be, and he is looking to fight it against the Haas driver of MaxCon, who is nowhere near the P1 that he needs to be in to try and keep the title hopes alive. And Cota is looking to relegate him another position further down the order, as we are only at lap 13 of this race. That has been so action-packed so far, and I'm assuming, and well, honestly hoping, that it continues in this vein, because it has been a joy to watch so far, but hopefully our drivers are able to keep it a bit cleaner as I say that, getting very close to contact, luckily just avoiding it, as Cota almost tapping MaxCon and will have the DRS now. He's going to have to be forced a long way round by the Haas driver at turn 1. They get very close through the apex. The inside line will go to the Haas driver, but on the exit, who's got a better one? It's equal. They're still level as they head towards the S's now, and I think Cota is going to have to back out. He is, so MaxCon, excellent defending from him once again, just like we already saw earlier on in the race. and he is going to somehow just about hold position ahead of the Bulgarian, who is looking very eager and much quicker to try and get past him behind. As they head towards the second opportunity now, there is only really 2 overtaking opportunities on the track in terms of going for a lunge, although I suppose there is another one into turn 11, but you have to be a lot closer than your Cota was for that. As meanwhile in the background, his teammate getting all out of shape. No, that was Loris, sorry. Loris getting out of shape on the softs, was about to go for a move on Bablo, but completely loses the back end, as now here we go again. Deja vu here into turn 12. Can your Cota get it done? No, he can't. He's going to try and get the better exit, but no, he's got nothing there, and maybe getting slowed down a little bit by the curb. I wonder if perhaps those curbs still a little bit damp from the rain earlier on. Yokata not able to get the exit hit that he needed, and is not close enough, yet at least, to go for the move on Maxcon. But all the while, this fighting is, well, it's slowing these guys up, and it's shoring up P5 for Q-Man, who is about to go for a move now and try and make it P4 instead. On the inside, locks up into turn 1, and has to cut across the corner there, just to avoid contact with AJ. And I think the sensible call for Q-Man surely at this point is going to be to just try and wait behind the Red Bull. He knows that he knows that AJ has much more penalties than him, and if you can just use AJ to sort of pull him along with the help of the DRS, he might be able to, well, he should be able to sneak a P4 position come the end of the race. But obviously that is looking very far down the road, and there is still 13 laps to go, and the ever-looming potential for a safety car, although I will say around here it is slightly less likely than other circuits. There is generally quite a lot of runoff, but that does not mean it is impossible by any means at all. As now Bablo is... sorry, no, this is Yokata again. Bablo also coming under pressure from Loris once more, as he was this time last lap, although Loris is a bit further back, of course, still trying to recover from that mistake, as Shadow... No, I thought he was right in the back of Julian, but again, the timing screen is just... lying to us there, as they so often do. And yeah, it seems like Maxcon then seems to have much better straight line speed than those around him, because he is holding on very well from Yokata behind, who clearly, well, it did look like he was the quicker driver, although to be fair, it's entirely possible that now they've just started to even out on pace, these three. Of course, Cooper joining the train as well at the back. He's been there for, well, pretty much this whole time as well, really, and ever since he was able to get back past Bablo, who is now still dropping down the order a little bit, and coming under pressure from Loris again. But yeah, Maxcon doing a mighty fine job, I must say, at the moment, of holding on to P6 in the race. But how long can he hold on for? We're going to have to wait and see, because he's under pressure again from Yokata. Is he close enough? No. So into turn 1 there won't be a move, but there might be a move here. Here comes Loris. Is he going to dive it to the inside of his fellow Dutchman? Yes, he is. Oh, somebody's round. Yokata's round. Yokata's spun it at turn 1. I have no idea what happened to him. I saw the yellow flag for a second, and well, Bablo and Loris have to dart either side of him and do well to avoid the other Alfa Romeo driver. But Yokata was about to challenge for P6. Well, he'd been trying to challenge this whole time, but there must have been a mistake from him, either that or he was unfortunate enough to make contact with another driver, and now drops back down to P10. So that is a huge shame for him. Another driver coming victim of a mistake in this race. Meanwhile, the fight for P1 is getting ever closer. So I thought that Julian was going to be pulling away now, but no. Shadow's got other ideas, but no, his rear tyres have other ideas as well. He gets a massive snap of oversteer, and into the final sector is going to lose a whole heap of time, and he's going to have to put in all of that work again effectively, because he's now back outside of DRS range. So just when it looked like it might be about to hot up, it well, cools off immediately. So I'm sure Shadow will be hoping his rear tyres can do the same, because it is quite hard to do that around here with so many high-speed corners. As now Bablo is no, again, timing screen's just playing with me here. I thought Bablo was about to go for a re-overtake on Loris, but not close enough, and unfortunately he will not be able to make the repass, at least not anytime soon just yet. By the looks of things, as Shadow picks up a 3-second penalty now. So I was just about to mention, I'm not sure, is that his first penalty or is that his second? I don't know, but he's got at least one now, and that is going to make his job very tricky, because Julian, as far as I know, does not have any penalties in this race. So it's going to be quite the task for Shadow to try and get ahead now as he's actually losing time. So I wonder if he maybe pushed a little bit too hard too soon. And look at his ERS. He's used almost all of it. He's down to 8%. Meanwhile, Julian's down to 0. So neither of them have really any battery to play with. And it's going to be effectively a fight of who can manage the tyres best and still put in the best lap times. But it's going to have to be significantly better lap times for Shadow because, getting another twitch of oversteer there. It's almost like it's the balance has swung the other way in this race. As now Shadow, no rear grip for him, and Julian seems to be the one in control of his rear end, which is the opposite of what we were seeing earlier. And Shadow, his pace seems to be gone. Julian is also gone. He's off up the road now, and the gap up to 2 seconds for the Williams as penalties coming in thick and fast in behind. And yellow in sector 3. Not sure who that was for. It might have been a mistake for a second, but we're back to green flags now. So let's just take a run through the order now. Everyone seems to have calmed down a little bit, although as I say that, Bablo and Cota and Loris actually all getting very close together. So I wonder if the yellow might have been for Loris maybe, but I don't think he would have even been in sector 3, so I don't know. But either way, he's made a mistake somewhere because Bablo is now right on the back of him, and those soft tyres doing Loris no favours at all. And with that, he dives straight for the pit lane. And I would imagine he was just trying to stretch them as long as possible in the hopes of a safety car, but unfortunately they have fallen off the cliff for him, and he's now back in the pit lane and going to be back out of the points, I do fear. And, well, depends how everyone else on the mediums is able to do. We do have Cooper, Bablo, and not Kvyat, but who is it again? Wisered. Sorry, yeah, Cooper, Kvyat, Bonnet, and Wisered all on medium tyres as well. So those guys might yet have to pit, and Wisered not going to be close enough actually to get ahead of Loris. So he's at least going to hold on to that position, and should, with penalties accounted for as well, Loris should at least be able to stay in the points for this race. But still, not a good race for him at the home race for Haas as well. That's not what they'd have been hoping for. But meanwhile, his teammate is doing a little bit better up in P6, and I think AJ is now fighting again, this time with Phil. So he's and Phil gets a huge slide on the exit of the corner, and straight through. No battle then. AJ is just completely allowed through, and Phil with a huge snap of oversteer. I thought for all the world he was going round there, but did incredibly well to hold on to it in the Aston Martin. But his podium has on the track at least just slipped away. But the reason I say on the track is because now AJ, 12 seconds of time penalties. He just cannot keep his Red Bull on the track surface within the white lines, and he's going to really pay the price for that come the end of this race. So I think although Phil might be down to P4 on the road, I don't think he'll be panicking just yet, because he knows that as long as he keeps it within the right lines, he's going to have to, it's going to have to be a bit of a miracle in terms of pace for AJ to try and actually extend out a 12-second gap over him with only 9 laps left to go and some slowly but surely deteriorating hard tyres. As now Cooper in the Ferrari still trying to continue the battle that Cota was trying to forge earlier on, until that unfortunate mistake that saw him drop down the order. He's only dropped to P8 though, so he's managed to get back ahead of Bablo, of his teammate, and is still knocking around in the points. So we'll see if he's able to close in later on in the race. And Cooper is one of the drivers, as I mentioned, who is on medium tyres, so it's going to be very interesting to see. He will have the pace advantage at the moment, but those tyres will start to go off for Cooper, and it's going to be quite the task for him to try and hold them on all the way till the end of the race, because, see if we can take a look. When did these guys pit? And those tyres are 8 laps old already for Cooper, so he's going to have to do another 9 laps, and that will be 15 lap old medium tyres once he does cross the finish line at the end of the race. So quite the tall order if he wants to keep out of the pit stops, and I would imagine that I would imagine he might just bail and go for a set of soft tyres, much like Loris did earlier on. But only time will tell on that front. And I did think I saw the Ferrari garage, or the Ferrari pit boys out in the garage earlier on, so we'll see. Is he going to dive for the pit lane now? Nope, he doesn't. So interesting Codemasters moment then, I'll just put it down to, as unfortunately for Cooper, he's still not being able to have the pace advantage that he needs to get ahead of the Haas, who is running pretty solidly now. I would say Maxcon in P6 ahead of him, but doesn't look like he's got the pace. And even if he does have the pace, he's going to need some absolute record-breaking esports level pace if he wants to get into the top 5 in this race. And I suspect with that, the championship might be as good as done for the driver who is not even here. Lamano has missed the past few races, but his start to the season was so dominant that he is sitting pretty at the top of the order and will be failing any monumental changes at the end of this race, awarded officially now his second Drivers' World Championship. So we'll see if the top 5 can keep it on the road for the final few laps of the race. We have 8 to go. Julian still leading fairly comfortably from Shadow, who's not been able to close back up, and after pushing earlier on, I think has just perhaps decided that he's going to settle for second, failing any mistakes from Julian ahead of him, because though his pace may have been mighty in the Tier 2 race, Julian's has been even mightier in the Tier 1 race here, as now Wisered disconnects from the session, and I think he's actually retired, although I believe that was, no sign of any yellow flags, so that must have been in the pit lane then. So yeah, unfortunately not a good day for him, and he is not going to be able to score any more points, at least for the time being, in this Tier 1 season. And Phil might actually be coming under a little bit of pressure from Q-Man soon, so I'll tell you what, we might actually have a scrap on for the final podium position. Of course, AJ is pulling away from Phil in P4, but not by nearly enough to extend out that 12-second gap that he does need. So we'll have to wait and see if there's any kind of contact between these guys, as now Darth Sippet as well retires, also in the pit lane, I believe. No, not in the pit lane, because we have a safety car. There it is, the late safety car tradition continues in Tier 1 of LRC, and suddenly this race has just had a new lease of life shaken into it. I don't know what happened to Darth Sippy, who's already running well out of the points order, and the second Alpine driver now is out of the race somewhere on the track, and that has brought out a safety car that is now going to shake up this whole race. So, well, what is going to happen here? Who pits, who doesn't, who stays out, who is going to benefit from this? Well, I can tell you who isn't going to benefit. AJ. Those 12 seconds of penalties are about to sting a whole lot more for the Red Bull driver in third place, because the whole field is going to be bunched up with, once we do go to green flag, probably only 4 or 5, if I was to guess, laps remaining in the race. And into the pits comes our top 2, both of them in for a set of soft tyres. So, unsurprising there, this is kind of what everyone has to do here. And we'll see if anyone's bold enough to stay out, but I don't think, after the top 4 are in, top 5 are in, I don't think anyone else is going to stay out now. You just wouldn't gain enough. And yeah, everyone will be coming into the pits then, presumably all for a set of softs, although, is that someone going into mediums? No. I thought the Red Bull might be on mediums, and actually a 5-second penalty for Q-Man, so this is very fortunate for him, because he now gets to serve that penalty under safety car conditions and will not lose any places, so he will be in a genuine fight for P4, and for P3, the third podium spot in the race, once we do get things back underway. So very fortunate for him there, because we wouldn't have even known about that, so we might have been cheering about a bit of a phantom battle there if that didn't happen, but thankfully the safety car trend does continue, and we are going to have, once again, an extremely exciting end to this race here in Cota. As Loris has actually stayed out, so yeah, this has worked perfectly for Loris then, hasn't it? Because he is now up to P7. He will be, though, on on a few lap old medium tyres compared to everybody else's fresh softs around him. So in terms of track position, works out perfectly, but in terms of tyre compounds, not ideal for the Dutchman. But I think he will definitely take having a safety car over no safety car, because at least now he's effectively in control of his own fate for the remainder of this race, and will be able to try and fight it for whatever positions he can find, and pick his way through whatever chaos may or may not ensue up ahead of him. As we will, I'm sure, have plenty of drivers eager to make up places, although I'm not sure what our third place driver, our pole sitter of AJ, is going to be able to do in this race, because 12 seconds of penalties, almost going to be a bit of a Carlos Sainz situation for him, because once they do cross the line, he is just going to drop down the order like a stone through water, I would imagine, and he's going to be praying for maximum chaos on the restart, I would assume then, in the hopes that every driver that doesn't have penalties is able to somehow all coincidentally all make a mistake at the same time, and somehow end up in him taking some kind of strong finish in the race, which he still may be able to do, in all fairness. We do have... I would imagine we're going to restart at the end of lap 24. So we're just starting lap 23 now, I believe. So yeah, come the end of lap 24, I think we will be going back to green flag racing. So we will have a little bit of time, and the field will have a bit of time, a few laps to try and spread out. But of course, I don't know how much it's going to spread out, because this will be everyone's final chance, effectively, to try and fight for positions and fight for points in this race. So we can take a look now at the tyre age of everyone, just to see, and yeah, it is everyone on fresh soft tyres, and maybe a bit of a sneaky strategy from Jarman here, because he is only just coming into the pits now, and he's going to get another fresh set of softs on then, so he will have one lap fresher soft tyres than everybody else, and well, I hope for his sake that that makes a difference. He is down in 11th place at the moment, so would be interesting if that is able to help him, but I don't think the tyre wear is really going to kick in by the time that we actually get to the end of this one, because it will only be a few laps, as I mentioned, of green flag running, although to be fair, I mean, we saw with Loris's stint earlier, Loris only was able to muster 6 laps on the soft tyres, so although this is going to be, this will be about 7 laps, I think, for everyone. By the end of the race, it will obviously be partially under the safety car, so we'll see. We will have to wait and see. Maybe on the final lap the tyres will start to go off, and who knows, we could end up with an Australia situation all over again, and well, who wouldn't want that battle for the win on the final lap? I would be certainly down for that one, but I think it's looking unlikely at the moment, just judging by the state of the penalties in the top 3 especially. Julian having none, Shadow having at least one. I really did think I saw him get one earlier on in the race, but doesn't look like, well, our graphics aren't showing that he's got one anyway, so it may only be 3 seconds for Shadow, and I'm sure he'll be hoping that it's only 3 seconds, otherwise he might be another driver who drops quite a few positions once they all cross the line. So, going to find out now. Is the safety car going to be in this lap? I don't think it will be, and you can keep an eye on those lights. Yet it is. It would have switch them off well before now, so it is going to stay green for one more lap. Sorry, stay under safety car for one more lap before I imagine we will go green at the end of this one. So I'm just going to go to a very quick break, and then we'll be back with the restart in a minute or so's time. Okay, welcome back everyone. We are back once again, and the safety car is making its way into the final sector now, so we are going to get to see here the end of this race, and there it is, safety car in this lap, and yeah, let's switch off the MFD and let's see, for the final time in this race, what can the drivers do? Julian is going to back up the pack. It's going to be Shadow starting from 2nd place with a 3-second time penalty at least, potentially an extra 3 seconds on top of that, so we'll keep that in mind come the end of the race. AJ, 12 seconds of penalties. This is going to be really tricky for him to try and hold as many places as he can as we get ready to go. Phil in 4th, Q-Man in 5th with no penalties, then the 2 Haas drivers of Macton and Loris 6th and 7th, Cooper 8th, Yokata 9th, Bablo 10th, Jarman 11th, and now we just wait for Julian. When is he going to put his foot to the floor here? So here we go. He likes to go quite early. That is what he tells us, and there he goes now, right on cue. So here we go. We get underway for the final time here in Cota. We've got 4 laps to go in the race, and it will be Julian who leads them around the final corner to cross the start-finish line and get the racing underway. We are back to green flags, and immediately looking for the move is one of the Alfa Romeos. This is Yokata trying to find the pass on Cooper. He's on the medium tyres compared to Cooper, who is on the softs, but he's not going to be able to get the move done. Oh, going deep. That was Maxcon. Maxcon goes deep and lets his teammate of Loris through into P6. So Maxcon losing a place there and is already down 1 position from where he restarted. Meanwhile, Q-Man and Phil are getting very, very close, picking up exactly where they left off in their battle for what should be P3 and potentially even now P2 on the road if Shadow does indeed have more penalties than the game is leading on. But AJ, despite having 12 seconds, he is not giving up just yet, and he is going to try and fight for whatever position he can as Cooper now out of the session, and there was contact between him and Yokata coming out of turn 10, and Yokata is lost his front wing as well, and Cooper out of the race. So chaos does resume again on the restart, as now here goes the move. It's the Alpine of no, there's a safety car out again. somehow, with only like 3 laps to go in the race, this is, well, shades of the Australian Grand Prix in real life here, and we have another safety car. So we were about to see the move from Q-Man there to try and get up into P4, but, well, Phil is going to live to fight another day there. And our action has been curtailed there because we have yet another safety car. It's the tails all the time, really. Cautions breed cautions. And we have got another one immediately after the last. And now, well, this is either going to be a very short safety car period, or we might even, well, I was going to say we might finish under safety car, but as far as I know, we don't even have that mechanic on the F1 games. So I'm expecting now this might just be a 1-lap safety car. I have no idea. Maybe 2 laps. We'll have to wait and see here, but as far as I know, we can't finish under safety car in the F1 games, so we should still have some more racing action come the end of this one. But yeah, very unfortunate that the safety car has been deployed, and yeah, there it is now on the top of the hill at turn 3, and the racing is going to have to, well, going to have to pause for a second, and yeah, I do hope that we are able to get a few laps in. So, but yeah, unless the safety car does actually come in at the end of this lap, then I have no idea. I have no idea what's going to happen, because, well, it might end up being a 1-lap dash to the finish. Who knows? Okay, well, that's, yeah. I was not expecting that, I'll be honest. I didn't think the game would deploy a safety car with only 3 laps to go, but, well, Codemasters never fail to surprise us. That's surprising me a little bit, though, as AJ, he runs very wide and takes the longest possible radius at turn 11 and almost actually gets passed by Phil, who quite courteously decides that he's not going to make the move up the inside, and now everyone getting a little bit checked up on the straight here. Hopefully nobody crashes into each other. That would be far from ideal, but yeah, this safety car has helped out your Cota quite a lot, because he's now been able to change his front wing, get onto a set of soft tyres, and rejoin the back of the field. But there we go, safety car is in at the end of this lap, so a 1-lap safety car. I have never seen that before. Codemasters continues to amaze us, and well, it looks like then we are still going to get 2 laps of racing before the checkered flag, so no DRS will be available now, and we would have had it for 1 or 2 laps come the end if we'd have stayed green, but we did not. So yeah, 2 laps of racing, no more safety cars after this, and Julian has got it all to do again on the restart. He's well, basically looking for a repeat of what he did last time. That is what he'll be hoping for, so we ride on board again. And is he going to be able to go as early as he did the previous occasion? Of course, he does like to do that, and there he goes. But I wonder if Shadow might have been a little bit more wise to it this time. So we'll switch off board already here and see, has he been any closer? No. So Shadow still not able to get a good restart. He might have been expecting Julian to go later this time, and Julian has defied those expectations and got a brilliant restart once again. So here we go. Here comes Q-Man picking up straight where he left off. Is he going to go for the move? He's going to switch it to the outside last second, and he's going to try and get the switch back. As he knows, he's going to try and hang it round the outside, but Phil is able to hold on and still trying to get his nose in his Q-Man there as they head towards the S's, but he's going to have to sit behind for the time being, as we have about a lap and a half to go of this race, and every position up for grabs once again. This is not going to be good for AJ, because now even the gap that he was starting to extend has been immediately shrunk again, and he's going to be dropping, I would suspect, all the way down towards the bottom of the top 10, which is, well, there is only a top 10 in the race now, so at least he will be guaranteed points if he can make it to the checkered flag. But he's not just going to settle for not going to settle for third. He's going to try and go for second place on the road against Shadow here, whilst Julian drives off into the sunset here. And here we go then. Is AJ going to be close enough for the move? He's going to dive it up the inside of Shadow, so getting feisty then. And is there a move behind from Q-Man? No, he's not close enough, so Phil holds on, and AJ gets up into second place. So he's got clean air ahead of him now to try and push for the final lap of the race. Meanwhile, Jarmin getting overtaken by Maxcon. Sorry, no, he's fighting it out with Bablo. They're both right behind Maxcon. They go wheel to wheel, banging tyres, and forced across the escape road there is Jarmin. And he's now going to be side by side still with Bablo, and they make contact again, and round goes the Red Bull, who is going to drop now down to the back of the field to P10, and he is going to be out of any kind of fighting contention in this race as the two Alfa Romeos so close to each other. We are now onto the final lap of this US Grand Prix here in LRC. Tier 1 has produced another fantastic race, but it is not over yet because we still have a fight for P3 and what actually I think is going to be a fight for P2 on the road here. Can Q-Man make it 2 P2s in a row at his home race? He's right on the back of Phil here as they go through the S's. He can't get any closer than this. I mean, look how close they are as they head in towards Sector 2 now. Starts to drop back a little bit towards the end as the dirty air does kick in finally for him. But Q-Man is still looking to try and make this move. He knows what this could be for. On the final lap of the race, Julian is looking clear at the front of the field. AJ is catching him though, so is AJ going to try and go for a move here at the end? They've both got ERS on, but Julian's not got much left. So is AJ going to try and steal the victory away from Julian here? Once again, he's going to defend the inside as Julian. AJ, of course, with 12 seconds of penalties, is not going to get the move done. And here comes the fight for P2. Can Q-Man get the switchback? He wasn't able to do it the first time. He's going to dive it up the inside now into the hairpin of turn 13, getting oh so close, the two of them there, but Phil is going to hold on to what should be now surely a podium position, safe and secure for him as AJ has gotten through. So AJ on the road is going to finish ahead of Julian, but with 12 seconds of penalties, he is going to drop right down the order as, oh, Julian, a huge slide on the exit. Is Shadow close enough to do anything? No, he's not. So across the line then for the final time, AJ will take the win, but it will be Julian who takes the win on penalties. Phil will hold on to second place from Q-Man, and Shadow does drop to fourth place. Cota takes an excellent P5 for the Alfa Romeo team, and it's Haas for 6th and 7th, Bablo 8th, AJ 9th, and dropping all the way down to make it a Red Bull 9-10 with the 12 seconds of penalties. And what that means is that Lamauno is now officially crowned your Season 4 Tier 1 World Drivers Champion. DRS, it's going to be a run to the checkered flag here. They're neck and neck as they cross the line, as Afari is going to get the DRS as they head towards the line, but he won't be close enough. Lamau, yes, is going to climb across the rise and will take the win here in Portugal.
Lamau, yes, very famous enjoyer of this track, wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
And as he exits the final corner, Lamauno will come home to win the Austrian Grand Prix here in LRC.
Lamau, yes, prevails.
Here comes the switchback.
He can't get the switchback hooked up.
He's trying it.
He can get the
into the final turn.
To the line, but Lamau, yes, comes home to win the British Grand Prix.
Lamauno is going to avoid all of the chaos and hold on to take the win here in Belgium. Julian takes the win here in LRC and makes it 3 in a row for himself and for Williams. So brilliant stuff by them, trying to rebound, of course, from the disqualification of Okram, which has really set them back in the Constructors' Championship. But Julian has put in yet another fantastic drive and holds on from Phil, who takes a superb P2. Brilliant stuff by him in the Aston Martin, and Q-Man getting oh so close, put up a very valiant fight and will take P3 at his home race.